Seems to me that we've been somewhat trained by things like the media and the news and what have you to be the victim. We always feel that it's best to be the victim because you can get various things. You can get, for example, your social services money that comes in each week, whatever it is, the universal credit thing, that you can claim for this and you can claim for that if you're a victim. Or if you play the victim, you can somehow win at certain cases. You say, oh yes, I've been I don't know, insulted in some way. I've been slurred. I've been this. And so it's almost as if being the victim is actually being the winner. And I don't know where that came from. We've been sort of under this. Oh yes, yes, no, you're liable for this, and you're liable for that, and you can get this, and this, and this, and this, and in a way, it's making us very soft, isn't it? Now, I'm not saying that being hard and nasty is a thing, but it makes us always dependent on somebody else by stirring up things, being the victim. I get a lot of emails, as you know, and it's very sad because a lot of the emails that I get are people saying, I'm in this difficult situation. I don't know what to do. My kids are about to be taken from me, or I'm at court next week, and I need to speak to one of your wonderful guests. I need some help here, and I need some help here. And I think to myself, I'm overwhelmed with different people and the depths of the problems that people have. And I'm no expert, so I can't advise, and I don't advise. These are just my opinions. And where I can pass on certain emails to people to help, I do. But it strikes me that very often these problems are just too late, that they've let these situations go on, and they have become victims. And they don't know what to do, and they're distraught, and they're desperate people. I've said this so many times over the last 2 years. We need to take back responsibility for ourselves, whether that's responsibility for our health and what we eat, and not going to places that sell nutrient-free food that is GO or GM modified, that has food colorings and food flavorings and very little else in it, that is created in big industry factories, and that we ought to be helping farmers by going to farm shops or markets and getting the food, and supporting small businesses rather than these big corporations. And that obviously will help our health if we were not to take quite so many of these little white pills that are being dished out left, right and centre, that we sought alternative medicines, alternative ways, alternative health ways of living. We need to take back the responsibility, again, whether that is that we don't continually buy trinkets or take subscriptions to some of these television things or online television things which are just feeding us more mind-numbing nonsense, that we need to take back responsibility for our lives. We are sovereign people. We are our own kings in our own domain, but we forget that. We are made to feel that we're weak, we're victims, we're little people that have nothing, and we rely on other people. We do need to keep our friends close. We need to have support, of course, when in times of trouble. But we do need, I feel, that we take as much control in our lives and learn, as my guest that I interviewed yesterday and will be on the channel very soon says, you've got to know the rules. If you're going to engage with these monsters, you've got to know what the rules are so you can beat them at their game. Very often it's a game of chess. If you don't know the rules, you get wiped out. And there are people like Pete Stone from the Sovereign Project who put out books or have courses or have as much free stuff as you can possibly get. And Pete in his book reminds us that you are sovereign, that you are the one who makes the decisions. Don't let other people make those decisions, and he guides you in that. There's many other books. I just happened to pick that up because I knew it was on the top of my copious piles of books that I have. it's when I get these emails and I see these things that have happened to people, and it's almost at the last resort they start to think, well, I better do something about this, or they've watched a TikTok video or a YouTube video and not fully understood some of the remedies that have been given to people. Yes, it's all right, you just have to write this and send it off. You may know the other day I did an interview with a gentleman about promissory notes. I was unhappy with one tiny aspect of it, but I thought that tiny aspect of it might get people into trouble. And so in the end I had to pull the video, which was a shame, because everything else was really useful information. But you know, there is a certain amount of responsibility that I don't want people to just take the content and go, oh, I only need to know that bit and then it's all okay. We need to learn it all. We need to be in control. We need to have that responsibility. We must get rid of this victim idea and embrace our sovereignty and say, no, I am the king. I am in control. I will make the decisions, thank you. And as my guest, who I alluded to earlier, says, how dare you do this to me? How dare you? And as a result of that, he just grasped the metal and started to learn what he needed to learn so he could push back and never be in the situations that one is put into. And sometimes it is that, you know, you have to kind of wait till something really nasty happens to you and you think, you've got two ways of dealing with it. You have a choice. You either play the victim card, oh dear, I'm downbeaten, there's nothing I can do. Or you rise above it and you say, do you know what? I'm going to learn this. I'm going to get to the bottom of this and I'm going to win because I'm a sovereign person, or not a person, man or woman. I'm a sovereign individual. This is my domain. This is my realm. This is my world. How dare you even try and belittle me? I feel that we've been brainwashed to act like these victims, that, oh, there's nothing we can do. They're shoving up the 5G. They're putting up the ID, digital ID, the face recognition. We just have to lump it. Do we? Maybe we do need to rise up in the way that Juliet Barker describes England Arise, the People, the King, and the Great Revolt of 1381, the Peasants' Revolt, where the peasants said, do you know what? Enough is enough. They'd had 3 poll taxes. It was outrageous. And they got to that point and they said, we're not going to be victims anymore. Thank you very much. Now, I'm not suggesting for one moment that we violently get onto the streets and do the things they did in 1381. But they weren't going to put up with it. And I don't see why we have to put up with all the rubbish. And instead of acting as victims, let's learn what we need to learn. Let's stand firm and say, no, I don't consent to this, mate. And how dare you even try to push it on me?